everybody, welcome to the Dibley Diaries for this week. This week we're going to be thinking a little bit about the story in the Bible in John 20 where Thomas comes to be known as Doubting Thomas. But I wanted to start thinking about the Rural Ministry Challenge this week as the one of, does somebody have to declare themselves a Christian to be able to help you and your church community, your worshipping community? So it may be that traditionally you've been part of a church community where people would sign up to a declaration of belief to become a member of your church. The Church of England is very much not like that. It is kind of more of a loose association. And in many smaller places where people are in villages, where there's not a huge number of people, then you may find that people are helping in the leadership of the church and the PCC and the committee, who would say, actually, I don't really believe any of this at all, or I'm not sure what I believe, I have some doubts about it, although they may not voice those concerns out loud. It's difficult. Jesus kind of says both things in the Gospels. He says, don't be associated with those who don't believe, but he also says, let people help you. If they're not against you, then they're for you, or whoever's not for you is against you. So it's difficult to know, but my experience of working in rural settings is that certainly people who would not ascribe to the belief system as a Christian can be really useful and helpful as part of the structure of governance in the church body. I mean, certainly my experience has been there have been great treasurers and PCC secretaries, even one church warden who took me aside at one point and said, I'm doing this, but I don't actually believe, I struggle with it, but I want to support the church, so that's why I'm here. And in some ways that's the most important thing, is that we need somebody who's sympathetic with the ethos of the church community. How do we work together to build up the church community? And if someone's willing to work to build up the worshipping community of the church in a place, then that is a good thing, and we can work together. Sometimes we just need to take who God sends us to help us, and that's fine. So I wanted to think about that, and think about the difficulties that can be, and the joy that it can be as well. Sometimes, of course, those who are less familiar with church structures ask some really appropriate, challenging questions. Why do we do this? Why don't you have a budget for that? All those sorts of questions which can be good for us to listen to and to take note of. So my experience has always been, if people are not against us, then they're for us in this situation. And thinking about that in rural communities is really important. So the Dibley moment for this week is something that happened to me not very long ago in one of our very small rural church communities, where we hadn't been able to find an organist. It's not unusual in rural settings, and there were only 7 of us in the congregation. So we were going to sing along to an organ accompaniment which was played from a recording via Bluetooth onto the speaker. Should have worked fine. What has worked fine many times before in many different settings. Person playing the Bluetooth on the from their device to the speaker, it worked fine. Hymn 1, fine. Hymn 2, fine. Hymn 3, fine. Hymn 4, I announced, and there was nothing. No introduction, no organ music at all. I looked at the person playing the tune, and they looked at me, and I looked at them, and they said, "Can you not hear that?" I'm like, no, not at all. What had happened is that in the time between the 3rd and the 4th hymns, their Bluetooth had decided that instead of playing to the speaker, that it would revert to playing to that person's hearing aids. So fortunately, before they lustily started joining in with the music only being heard through their hearing aids, then they managed to get the signal to go back to the speaker so we could sing along to the last hymn, not just listening to this person singing accompanied by their hearing aids. Yes. So that was a real Dibley moment. Technology is wonderful when it works. So that's the end of the Dibley Diaries for this week, and I pray that you and your village, wherever you are, have a really blessed week.